Hello, I'm John, welcome to my channel Disquiet and Dragons, and today's video will just be a little autumnal walk and a chat about the books I've been reading. Hello and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world. So it's been a little while since I've uploaded a video, apologies for that. A couple of reasons. The weather has been absolutely miserable on my days off and I haven't really been able to get out and film. And the other reason, with the change in the weather, I suffer with arthritis in my neck and shoulder, and it's been absolutely miserable with how wet it's been. It just makes it difficult to get out and film. But lovely day today. I'm at Shugborough Hall again in Staffordshire, so I'm going to go for a little walk and thought I'd talk about some of the books that I've been reading. So the first book I'd like to talk about that I've finished this month is Into the Uncanny by Danny Robins. If you don't know, there's a podcast called Uncanny, and the host is Danny Robins, and in it he talks to various just normal people about various paranormal and supernatural encounters that they've had, and then he talks to two experts. He talks to a skeptic and he talks to an expert in that field of the paranormal. So it's quite balanced, and it's never too over the top, the podcast. It's always really enjoyable hearing people tell their stories about hauntings and encounters that they've had, and the book pretty much follows the format of the podcast. He talks to various people and then he investigates it himself, and he comes to a conclusion whether he believes in all these supernatural events or not. I think it really enjoyable book. Danny Robins comes across as a really genuine guy, which I think when you're dealing with people's experiences, you've got to have a bit of empathy and be genuine, and that comes across in the book. I highly recommend the book, and I'd also highly recommend his podcast Uncanny. Both really good. If you like the supernatural, the paranormal, hauntings, UFO sightings, anything like that, really enjoyable and informative. And the next book I'd like to talk about is Pet Sematary by Stephen King. This was a buddy read. I actually buddy read it with two people, but on two separate buddy reads. I read it with my friend Ellie over at Bibbidi Bobbidi Books, and I read it with my friend Sarah. She hasn't got a booktube or a YouTube channel, but she does have a wonderful Instagram page for her business, and I'll link that in the description. Pet Sematary, fantastic book. It's just 5 stars all day long. I do actually consider this to be Stephen King's folk horror story. It ticks all the boxes for a fantastic folk horror. Dodgy legend in the woods that all the locals know about and the strangers don't. The story follows the Creed family. They've just moved from Chicago, I believe, and they've moved to this little town called Ludlow in pretty sure it's in Maine. Most of his books tend to be, and it's quite out in the sticks, but it's along a very busy road. As they're moving in, there's Lewis and Rachel, his wife, and they have two small children. Ellie, who's about 5, I think, and there's Gage, who's a toddler. And as they're moving in, across the road is an old gentleman called Judd, and he introduces himself, and him and Lewis get on like a house on fire. And Judd warns Lewis about how dangerous the road is. And as most of you probably know, the basic story of Pet Sematary, their family cat ends up getting killed on the road in an unfortunate accident, and that's when the folk horror starts. I won't go much more into it than that, but yeah, if you like folk horror, if you like horror that deals with grief and death and that kind of thing, Pet Sematary is amazing and well worth a read. The next book I'd like to talk about is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. I saw this book, Mark over at the book thing was talking about it, and even though he's on the hob-hating naughty step at the moment, he was absolutely spot on with this one. This book, it follows I think a woman in her late 20s kind of age, and her and her boyfriend are going to visit her boyfriend's parents, and they live out on a farm in the country, and the boyfriend, I think he just wants her to see where he grew up and that kind of thing. So we follow them on this car journey, and it all starts out quite normal, and they're talking, and the boyfriend, he's very intelligent, and he's a little bit quirky as well, and it all seems very normal. And then they get to the parents' farm, and they have a dinner, and things start getting stranger and stranger and stranger. The mystery starts to build. You don't quite know exactly what's going on. I don't really want to say too much, as I don't want to spoil it, but it's a really well written book. The tension and atmosphere really knows when to ramp it up in the right places, and at a certain point in the book, it even kind of changes horror subgenre in a really clever way. I didn't see where this one was going, and when the story does reveal itself, it's like, whoa, did not see that. Really enjoyed this one. Highly recommend it. I did listen to this on Audible. I think it was free on Audible at the time, and yeah, if you've got an Audible subscription, the audiobook is well worth checking out. And the final book I'd like to talk about today is Wilding Hall by Elizabeth Hand. A few months ago, my friend Ellie from Bibbidi Bobbidi Books, she sent me a message, and she said, I'm reading this at the moment, which was Wilding Hall. And she said, you should read it, I really think you'll love it. I tried to get a copy, and at the time I just couldn't find a copy anywhere. So last month I decided to get the audiobook, as I think it was half price. I think I paid $3.99 for it. So I gave it a listen, and I adored it. I wish that Storygraph was like the Spinal Tap film. I wish their ratings went up to 11, because this book is just phenomenal. It's kind of ironic, really, that last month I did my favourite horror of the year when I talked about The Ritual, and then 2 weeks later I read this, and not only is it my favourite horror of the year, I think it's probably going to be my book of the year. It's just phenomenal. What the book is about is it follows this folk band, and it's told in like interview format, and on the audiobook each character has got his own voice actor, and it's like the members of the band's manager, that kind of thing. And they're all talking about in the 70s when their folk band went to this place, Wilding Hall, to record an album, and their singer, after they'd done some songwriting, their singer just disappeared in mysterious circumstances, and it's about the band, and they're reminiscing about the singer, and they're reminiscing about their time as a band, and it's just a phenomenal, brilliantly written folk horror set in the English countryside. If you do like folk horror or slow burn horror or anything like that, you have to read this book. It's absolutely magnificent. I just can't praise this book enough. It's probably in my top 5 books of all time. Just absolutely everything about this book resonated with me. Just the story and the way it unfolds and how mysterious it is. I'm trying to be vague on purpose because I wouldn't want to spoil anything about this book for anybody. The less you know about it going into it, the better, really. But yeah, if you want a mysterious, atmospheric English folk horror, you can't go wrong. Absolutely read this one. Now I'll talk a little bit about the music I've been listening to recently. The first band I want to talk about was Nightwish. Have just released their new album, and it's a good one. It's a really good one. Flor Jansen, she's just one of the best vocalists on the planet. Her vocals are just beautiful on this album. Musically, if you've heard recent Nightwish, you know what you're going to get with this one. It's just this like huge wall of symphonic sound that hits you. Some of the arrangements are just wonderful, like the keyboard and the orchestral parts, just brilliant. All brilliant musicians. If you like symphonic metal, definitely pick up the new Nightwish album. It's excellent. And last Tuesday I was lucky enough to go and see Lacuna Coil at KK Steel Mill in Wolverhampton. It's my sister's birthday today, so I took her to see Lacuna Coil for a birthday present. We got there and the support band was Blind Channel. They were kind of like a new metal band. Didn't hate them, they weren't really my kind of thing, but they played really well. They had a few technical difficulties, but apart from that, yeah, it was an enjoyable set. And then Lacuna Coil came on. They were just fantastic. Christina Scabbia, the female vocalist, she's just amazing. Her vocals actually sound better live than they do on the studio albums, and as she's got older, her vocals have just got so good. The rest of the band, they played brilliantly, really tight. The rhythm section, brilliant. Guitar was fantastic, and Andrea, the male vocalist, his vocals were great as well, and as is Christina Scabbia, his vocals have only got better with time. set list was a good mix of the modern, newer stuff and some of the older stuff. They played quite a lot off their Comalize album, which is my favourite album, so I was really happy with that. They played my favourite song, so if you're going to see a band and they play your favourite song, you can't really complain. Overall, they were so good, really enjoyed it. I've been listening to a lot of their music on CD as well the last week or so. But yeah, it was my first time going to KK Steel Mill. It's actually owned by KK Downing, the guitarist, ex-guitarist from Judas Priest, and the sound quality in the venue was absolutely out of this world. It sounded really crisp. You can make out each instrument. Sometimes you go to a venue and it's the audio. It's just a bit messed up. It sounds a bit muddy, but yeah, everything sounded really good at KK Steel Mill. Can't wait to go there again. Fantastic venue. If you live in Staffordshire or the Midlands, definitely worth going to see a band at that venue. Fantastic place. So I've just been into the second-hand bookshop at Shugborough and I found this for £2.50. My friend Nikhil over at Shelf Esteem, he recently read this and he said it was absolutely brilliant. So I figured I'd give this one a try. Not sure I've got the energy to carry it back to the car though. This thing weighs a ton. It's a chonker. And as for movies, last couple of weeks, I've continued going to the cinema to rewatch all the Star Wars films at the cinema. I've got the final one. I've got The Rise of Skywalker on Tuesday night. But yeah, last couple of weeks I did a double bill of Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, which was awesome. And yeah, The Force Awakens, I love that film. I think it's excellent. It's a great Star Wars movie. And then The Last Jedi, which, not the best. I don't think it's a bad film by any means. And with it being October and coming up to Halloween, I've been watching a few horrors as well. I went to the cinema to see 1976 Carrie, and wasn't quite as good as I remembered it. I saw it a while back on DVD, but it was great seeing it at the cinema. It's just some of the music and some of the clothes kind of date it a little bit, but you know, it's nearly a 50-year-old film, so that's to be expected. I also watched the 2013 Carrie. It got bad reviews at the time and a lot of people didn't like it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think there's a lot of things that film does better than the 1976 version, and the things it does that relate to the book are a lot better than the 1976 one as well. I think in the final act, when that happens, if you know, you know, I think it's done really well. It's really visceral, and you can really feel the rage that Carrie has inside her as she wreaks havoc on the town. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed 2013 Carrie. I think it's a underrated film for sure. And I've done a little bit of gaming as well. Not really like me, but now that the night's drawing in, I'll put the PlayStation on every once in a while. And the other week I treated myself to Space Marine 2. Absolutely brilliant game. Absolutely love it. I'm about a third of the way through now. The graphics look really good. The combat is really good. Yeah, it's just a fun game.
Heads! Give no quarter! Urge them! Target has attempted to sabotage. Overwatch on the lift mechanism.
I've probably mentioned on the channel before, but I bloody love Warhammer 40k. I think the universe is fantastic. So the books and the video games. I do play the tabletop occasionally. So sometimes I'll bring my Space Wolves to the table, but yeah, I've been thoroughly enjoying Space Marine 2. Everything about it just feels right. As you're controlling, I think it's Lieutenant Titus, everything has like a weight and a gravitas to it. It's like as you're running through the environment, you can feel like the power armor thudding into the ground, and everything just feels heavy, and like the momentum when you swing a chainsaw and you hit an enemy and just slice them in two. Oh, it's excellent. If you like shooters or 40k and you haven't played it, well worth picking up. I don't play many games now, but yeah, thoroughly enjoying this one. So that about brings me to the end of this video. As always, thank you for watching and commenting and subscribing. I really do enjoy talking to you all in the comments. Hope you're doing well today, enjoying your weekend, enjoying what you're reading. And yeah, that's about it for this one. I'll talk to you again soon. Cheers. Bye.